Hello friends. The 647th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Yesterday, Russian military telegram channels wrote about the advance of their troops to the western outskirts of Marinka. They showed a video of a Russian flag installed on the roof of one of the outer houses. Moreover, some telegram channels claimed that Marinka was completely captured, while others claimed that the battles for the city were still continuing on the outskirts. However, military analyst for the Bild publication Julian Ropp today continues to say that the Russian army has completely captured Marinka. According to him, now the Ukrainian troops, which held the western part of Marinka, apparently left the city with a pre-war population of 11,000 people. At the same time, military personnel from the 79th Separate Air Assault Brigade, which is fighting in Marinka, deny the complete occupation of the city by the enemy, writes the Ukrainian telegram channel Deep State. According to him, the house on which the enemy flag was hung is in the gray zone. Indeed, the enemy approached the western border in that place and planted his flag, but there is no one in that house. However, there are Russians in the neighboring house. Marinka has been in ruins for more than a year. This city is an example of how battles are waged for every house, every room, and every centimeter. Our defenders have superhuman strength, because in such conditions it is almost impossible to fight, but the Ukrainian military shows the opposite, writes Deep State. Let me remind you that Marinka is located southwest of Donetsk. Since 2014, the city, which stands on the front line, has been turned into a fortified area of the Ukrainian armed forces. Russian troops have been storming the city since the start of a full-scale invasion in February 2022. To the west of Marinka, the road to Kurahovy opens. To the north, the fortified area of the Ukrainian army in Krasnogorivka. To the southwest, the road to Vuhledar. While I was writing the article, more news appeared about Marinka. I won't correct it, I'll just add it. In Marinka, the situation turned out to be more interesting. In the southern part, as was obvious, the enemy almost reached the western outskirts in one of the blocks. And in the northern part, the Russians were not allowed to gain a foothold in the blocks along Ivano-Franka and Lisy Ukrainki streets, where the presence of the enemy was recorded on video 3 times, Deep State said. Near Avdiivka, the Russians are advancing in the Stepovy area, Deep State reports. In the Bakhmut area, according to Ukrainian military expert Mashevets, the Russians tried to oust the Ukrainian armed forces from a number of positions north of Bodanivka, northeast of Hromovy, and north of Kurdyumivka. Ukrainian forces counterattacked near Hromovy and recaptured some positions. They also advanced east of Klishchiivka. At the same time, according to Mashevets, the massacre on the approaches to Bakhmut is devoid of any intelligible and clear operational meaning, at least for the Ukrainian army. Ultimately, only the enemy benefits from this, who managed, in essence, to stop the offensive actions of the Ukrainian army group south of the city, and is now persistently attacking its flank and rear from the north. And I would not say that he is not succeeding at all. Volume and the size of the losses of the parties in this duel are quite comparable, but the enemy obviously has great opportunities to compensate for them, especially when the predominant format of military clashes is a small infantry group against a small infantry group without the massive use of armored vehicles, the expert writes. The telegram channel Bakhmutsky Demon of the Ukrainian military fighting near Bakhmut reports today that the Russians had successes and recaptured several of our positions, previously recaptured from them near Andriivka. According to them, the enemy is trying to move on. In the Lyman sector of the Kharkiv direction, Russian troops are advancing towards Terny and Yampolivka, where the enemy is advancing. The same things south of the village of Dibrova. According to Mashevets, the Russians are increasing their forces in this direction. Fierce fighting continues near Krunki in the Kherson region. Judging by the videos, there are contact shooting clashes in the plantings near the village. The Russians claim that they do not allow further expansion of the Ukrainian army's bridgehead and are constantly attacking it. At the same time, the Russians note the very large-scale use of drones of various types by Ukrainian troops. I'll quote the enemy, "They don't allow you to approach or retreat. The FPV immediately flies, or the mortar of the Ukrainian army works. And if our mortar fires somewhere, everything from the enemy flies there." His drones constantly change each other in a carousel, noise and rumble throughout the entire forest. All roads are monitored, they see people, and FPV immediately flies into the car. Our electronic warfare systems either not, or they just don't care about him, the enemy complains in his Telegram channels. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.